We have a
Great.
really
So
big
that's
day here, Rabbi.
what?
We have an amazing musical offering this morning, which I
Fantastic.
have a little hint of. And then I
Okay.
think we have four more Psalm offerings left for Psalm 6.
Six.
And then we are ready for you to guide us into Psalm 7, our longest Psalm to date.
Yes. All right. So I think
So
we have
Adria,
it's 10 a.m. So
Adria,
let's.
are you here?
I'm here.
Maestra, my verses require viola this morning. Let me get your text up. And while I'm getting this up, would you like to give us an introduction to what you will be doing?
Sure. I have a wonderful colleague who lives out in Portland, Oregon, and he responded to all of the events of this past few weeks by writing kind of a fantasy for a solo string instrument on We Shall Overcome.
Okay,
And
can y'all see this? Yes.
I saw a little video of him, and I immediately called him, and he got me the music yesterday. So here is his fantasy on We Shall Overcome. And what's up on your screen right now are the verses for We Shall Overcome that we know, that we're familiar with, but there are many more from the days when it was known, when it was a Negro spiritual, and the tune of it comes from something from the time of the Civil War called No More Auction Block for Me. And if Harold would scroll down, I put on this sheet just a couple of video links to hear this sung by either Odetta, Paul Robeson, or Sweet Honey in the Rock. It's really quite extraordinary. And I did not know that this is where the tune came from. So I'm grateful to have this knowledge now and to have heard these performances through the magic of YouTube.
And I'm cleared to put this on the Facebook page so people can get it, or should it be emailed out, Adria?
However, you're the TA, Maestro.
Okay, great. Do you want us to sing along in our own homes?
You could sing, you could feel it in your heart. And I wrote yesterday to the rabbi and to Harold that for me, listening to everybody's contributions during this Psalm study and reading the Psalms themselves might be a way to provide paths for all of us to overcome whether they be personal issues or the tyranny that we're all living under right now. So I thought it would be appropriate for this time.
Wow, that is spectacular. Thank you so much, Adria. And everybody's in for a real treat. I hope everybody has registered for the concert on Sunday that we're doing, the June 7th Shira concert celebrating 25 years of CBST's concerts, which was originally inspired by an idea of Adria Benjamin's. She's the one who helped me develop it into something we could actually pull off. Many of you have heard the story. I was at a barbecue that Adria Benjamin was at the summer of, I guess, 94 or 93. And I told her I had this dream of doing a huge arts festival at CBST with a 80-person orchestra and doing, something on that scale. And Adria said, well, if we started with chamber music, it would be a lot more, it would be a lot more doable. 4 or 5 people we could pull together, a lot easier than an 80-person orchestra. And so the concept of the Shabbat Shira concerts were born. So this Sunday, we're having our major fundraiser for music programming at CBST. You must register in advance to get the link to see the concert. Our CBST chorus has done the first ever virtual choir we've done as a chorus. It's not the last one, but it was the first one. Fabulous, really fantastic. And we ask everybody to make some level of contribution, $5, whatever. But even if you can't do that, you can register for free, but you have to be registered in order to see the concert. It will not be available on Facebook. It's going to be, there's going to be a link to a better platform for streaming music. So Facebook, Zoom are not great platforms for music. Everybody looks a little herky-jerky, and it's not as smooth as you want for music. So we're using a different platform. By the way, that platform, which is the first time we're using it on Sunday, when we have our new website up, Bimheira v'yameinu, before Mashiach comes, please God, this platform will be the platform we're going to use to stream our Friday night services. So the sound will be so much better. The quality of music will be nothing can imitate live, obviously in person, because music needs to be experienced without any lag. But you'll see if you come in on Sunday, and I really urge everyone to join us. Adria will be playing and doing some very creative things, which I'm not going to give away. I got to see it for the first time last night. I'm very excited. And Adria's chamber music group, which has provided us incredible solace and strength and inspiration with our social justice concerts, will be performing as well as every single former CBST cantor, cantorial intern, or cantorial soloist. We asked them each to choose something that was meaningful to them in this moment to perform, something that gives them strength or chizuk or inspiration. So each of them chose something as an offering to CBST. So the concert's at 4, and then immediately after the concert, Joyce and I are going to moderate a Zoom discussion with the artists over cocktails. You have to bring your own. We'll bring the artists, or dinner, whatever you want to have. Cocktail or mocktail, of course. We don't advocate alcohol. If you don't drink, great, bring anything, juice, whatever. And we're going to have a moderated discussion afterwards with the artists. Those who can join us. Some have children and can't predict what their life will be at that moment. But most of them will be with us. All right, that's it for my infomercial.
All right, so why don't we dive right into the last, I believe it's 4 offerings. Donna Gray, if you could unmute yourself, you are our first author. Donna, are you here today?
Hi, Harold.
Hi.
Could it be a little bit bigger, please?
Okay. There you go.
Okay, thanks. Can it be even bigger? I'm having a little hard time reading it. That's good, thanks. Dear Maestro in the Sky, this psalm is safe for you to play on your 8-stringed harp, but what about your singers? What about the singers who sing together?
Wow.
Will that ever be safe to do again, or will it only be Zoom solos on mute from now on? Oh, great conductor, do not punish a singer not meant for isolated solos. Are you so furious at the whole disharmonious human chorus, at the dirty tricks we have played on each other and on Mother Gaia, that you've unleashed a deadly virus to scare us into hiding? What do we have to do to gain pardon, if not absolution? I know we've paved our own way into hell with our intentions, good and not so good, but we're human beings. Have mercy on us, you who keep the score. I alone am but one, yet the all lives in me. I have bad aim and have missed the mark so many times, hitting wrong notes and singing embarrassingly out of tune. Yet I recognize the discord and strive for beautiful harmonies. Does that count? How good do I have to be good enough? Yom Kippur is months away, yet I'm already pounding my chest. I hear us, thousands strong, as we intone in unison that we have sinned. We have sullied the earth with our extravagant waste. We have suffocated the innocent with our white privilege. We have manipulated with our arrogance and lied with self-serving impunity. Now we are all handcuffed and muzzled as the virus kills us and our cities burn in rage. Once, when we were slaves in Egypt, you led us to Sinai. What about the promised land? How long until we get there, oh Lord? How long? I become numb until the next dissonant note cracks open my tears again and again. Like my rabbi, I'm listening for the oboe, straining to get myself back in tune. Raise your baton, maestro, and give me the sign to sing. I'm waiting for your cue. Amen. Selah.
Wow, that is really fantastic, Donna. And I love the way that you've integrated deep elements of the psalm itself and taken from the understanding that the psalms were sung and were musical, and Lama Natseach could be a maestro. I really love that, and really expressing the pain. If we talk about song and singing is such a profound way of experiencing God's presence, the deep grief and pain and of not being able to do it in a way that brings that level of God's presence in our lives. This is a fantastic expression of the classical psalm, and using the language ad matai, how long, until when. And by the way, Yael Bar Chava used the phrase ad matai fantastically today in a Facebook post or a Facebook comment. Ad matai is the classic Jewish expression from this psalm in verse 4. V'nafshi nivhala, my soul, my body, my whole being is so terrified. And you, v'ata Adonai, ad matai. In other words, and Donna, you just capture that. How long can we do this? Is it going to be forever? Is there going to be a way that you're going to ad matai? It is that just until how long? It means everything. How long can I bear it personally? How long can I stand it? And how long will this last? Ad matai. It is a fantastic, deeply Jewish expression that you integrate. And I just love your references to music, given the moment we're in. Whoever thought we'd live in a time that singing was dangerous? You really capture this. Thank you, Donna.
Let's see who we have next. Okay, next, we did Sasha's before. We have Ellen Poster. Ellen, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wrote this Tuesday morning, all at once. There has been too much rain, too many tears, God, too many tears. They overflow the rivers. The dams are bursting. Too many streets made holy by too many flowers. Their petals are drenched in the rain. Too long, God, too long. Bring us to the promised land, where milk and honey flow, where the oil drips down and only the wine cups overflow. Please end the rain now.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about writing it.
I went to sleep Monday night, having been so inspired by everyone's interpretations of the Psalms and thinking about Crimea River.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I went to sleep with. And then I woke up in the morning, and I know others have said as they've been writing their versions that it came to them all at once. And I said to myself, oh, how fantastic to be in the flow and be able to do that. It'll never happen to me. And then I woke up Tuesday morning and this just came right out of me. So I hope people see some references to Psalm 23 and
Yes,
Psalm
and-
133 in there.
Would you put it back on the screen for a second, Harold? There's a phrase there that I really loved. So I love the connection. There are too many tears, God, too many tears. They overflow the rivers. The dams are bursting. And I just love the too long, bring us to the promised land. This wistfulness, this yearning is also classically Jewish in that understanding, that feeling of you're in the desert, how long till the promised land? Both of those obviously are metaphors. We feel that so deeply. What does the promised land represent? And this is very beautiful. And I realized I didn't ask Donna to speak at all about her writing. So I apologize for that. But Ellen, that's just fantastic. And isn't it a great experience? I too feel that often when I wake up in the morning, something comes out having slept on it in a way that I couldn't have done saying, okay, I'm going to sit down and write something.
Yeah, it was a really unusual experience for me. And I'm sure it wouldn't have happened without participating in this class.
Wonderful.
All right.
Did we want to give Donna a chance? I didn't give Donna a chance to talk about writing.
Absolutely, Rabbi.
I'm sorry, Donna. I got carried away. I apologize.
No problem.
You might not want to say anything because the Psalm says a lot, but I just didn't want to cut you off.
All I can say is that I sit with it a lot. Suddenly, what came to me was Dear Maestro in the Sky, which, is kind of like pie in the sky. And I attended Sasha Soreff's offering on Saturday evening, where she had us do movements on on Egypt being in slavery, and then and then Sinai, and then we never got to the promised land. And I said, but I want to go to the promised land. What about the promised land?
And remember my teaching always based on the text, the 5 books of Moses ends before we get to the promised land. And we have to, I think the biggest teaching of all is that we have to learn how to live in the wilderness.
So the biggest, the most important thing was, like, I started with, it's safe to play a stringed instrument up in the sky, but what about singers to sing together? And it's very distressing to hear, that a chorus of 45 people all got sick in California, and 4 of them died, and, it's not safe to sing. And, singing on Zoom with yourself muted or trying to sing alone in a way that can be put together to a virtual chorus is not easy. It was very
Thank you, Donna.
challenging.
Yes, but I need to say, Adria can't play in person with her chamber music group either. It's not that Adria has to play the viola in isolation also. Our orchestras can't play together anymore, at least not in the near future. Not but because people need to sit close enough together. Okay,
so then just one more sentence, and then I just made the correlation between the chorus of singers and just the whole human chorus.
Yes,
that it's
beautiful.
all about.
Really beautiful. Thank you.
Amen, Sella.
Amen, Sella. Stephen
Raphael.
Hi, everybody. I just want to add, I'm grateful to be here and to hear everybody. And I find this class amazing. I wanted to say one thing about Sherry's yesterday. I found her so powerful at the very beginning, or maybe it was the day before, where she said, without melody, because it wasn't even part of the actual psalm, but the fact that it just said without melody, it like went right to my heart, like situation that we're in. Like, we have no sound. There's like, the whole world has just been shut, quiet. So, all right. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, Psalm 6. So I took mine from the Psalm, but also from Cantor Nini's prayer 2 days ago about return. Who is the leader? Who is the follower? Who is listening? Will you listen to me? Will I listen to myself? Will I hear you? Will I hear myself? Will you listen when I am weak? Will you listen if I'm not innocent? Will you punish me? Will I stop punishing myself? Will I continue to self-destruct? Will I continue to blame myself? Will I continue to deny my truth? Will I continue to continue? Will I return? Will my soul be freed? Will I accept my prayer? Will I accept myself?
Beautiful.
Will you sing for me? Will I sing for myself?
Beautiful. And I love the rhythm of it. And the contrast between the first verses, which are the who rhythm, and then the will. Tell us a little bit about writing it.
Well, you know, when I did the I think it was Psalm 4, which was a song for Victor Lamanatzel, the end of that was, they say this is a song for Psalms, but what is my song? Who will sing for me? So at that time, it was almost not self-pity, but it was almost like, what is my song? Who's going to sing for me? And when I did this one, it's a little more responsibility. It's a little more of, we're going through a horrible time. I could blame it on COVID. I could blame it on racism. I could blame it on everything, but what's my responsibility in my life? So at the end of mine, will you sing
Very
for me?
powerful.
Saying to God, will you sing for me? But also, will I sing for myself?
Beautiful. And I love the repetition of questions, of turning the entire thing into a series of questioning and trying to understand personal role in things. Beautiful. I love that line, will I continue to continue? What a way to express existential crisis. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hillary Nudell.
Is
Hillary,
Hillary here today?
I believe I saw her this morning.
I'm here.
Okay.
You got the floor.
So you chose this one, Harold, huh? Okay. We're good.
There is yes, I'm sorry. Wait, maybe
It's
I
all
have
right.
both of them. Hold on.
No worries.
Oh, I have both of them. I actually have both of them, Hillary.
Okay. All right. All right. When I can feel only anger, wrath eating me like crows on a carcass. Where are you? I cry. When I'm caught in a web of delusion, trapped in one fantasy after another. Who are you? I shout. When I am overcome with greed, and even the cherished other becomes solely an object of want. What am I? I plead. Lord, don't abandon me. Rescue me as I am overcome by suffering. Remind me that I am more than a bed soaked with sweat and tears. Let my heart be lifted from the poisonous states of mind which entrap me. Let compassionate words, thoughts, and deeds penetrate my being, so I know there is a way through this contracted place, tasting of dust, of blood, of rubble. Let me find hope in humanity. Show me kindness so I can reach out again in faith, in goodness, in love. Heal me as you promise to heal all beings.
Hillary, why don't you go right to the second?
Yeah, read both, yes.
The muse sat right on Hillary's shoulder this week.
Uh-huh.
I never ask. I never ask how long. I just assume it comes with being alive. Suffering is woven into everything. It's like a mat made of dried grass. I'm sitting on it. It protects me from the ground, but I can only sit so long until it becomes shabby. Then I have to remake it. Grief is something else entirely. It lives inside and winds its way as part of my fiber, mutates. I am the mat that is sat upon by my children, my mother, my wife. They sit on my loss. They cheer it, fluff it up, arrange it. I feed my children food, but they feed me food of the soul. They feed me new grass and weave it so grief is indistinguishable from my fiber, yet recognizable to anyone who looks. Although I may toss and turn in my bed, I know there is no escape, so I slide my fingers along the edges of agony and feel the drying grass until it is ready for a new weave.
Wow. Wow. Talk to us a little bit, Hillary.
So there's a little bit of a movement from the first to the second in that when I was writing the first one, I was kind of grappling with why Norman Fisher wrote on that fifth and sixth Psalm in a way that I didn't think really reflected Buddhism. And I was thinking about a story that's told about a famous meditation teacher who loses both of his children in a horrible murder, and he's crying out in grief. And his followers want to know why there's no detachment there, where like a good Buddhist is supposed to have a sense of detachment. And so it made me think about, in the first Psalm, I was trying to kind of grapple with the ideas of Buddhism, and then how we, in moments of extreme pain, to kind of incorporate some of the ideas, we still ask the questions that make us reach for God. And it's kind of what I thought Norman Fisher was kind of implying when he didn't go to those Buddhist ideas, but really stuck with
Interesting.
With calling out. And in the second one, I kind of thought, I'm trying to get close to the Psalm, but I'm not getting close to my own experience. I was kind of rolling around in bed thinking about this the night before, and then I just got up the next morning and wrote it down. Also, I think integrating some of the, I've been meditating for like 27 years, almost every day. And that kind of gets inside of you after a while. There's kind of, you're playing with suffering a lot, because meditation is not all fun and games. It's like, it's you go deep into the dark places on a regular basis, and sometimes that it shapes you. I mean, it makes it, sometimes it's an uneasy thing, but it's also a beautiful, open, spacious thing. So it's kind of playing with those ideas in terms of, it's like woven into the fiber of my being, but also playing with that idea of ordinary suffering and grief, which you have to call out. It becomes something else.
Yeah.
Hillary, I have a question. When I read this, I thought of the grass metaphor that's used in many other poems, that man's life, like Enosh, what we sing on the high holidays, has that grass metaphor that flourishes one day and is dry and gone the other day. Am I just reading that into it from my reading of Psalms, or was there any intention on your end?
No, I'm not that scholarly, Harold. Just you.
But I think that's a great connection, Harold, and also the ephemeral nature of some things.
Yeah.
And that's, so Hillary, I just think these are really profound, and I like the struggle with it. And can you put them up again, Harold, just for a second? This imagery of that you're the mat. Oh, what was that? I don't have it in front of me.
I'm coming down, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Suffering is woven into everything. It's like a mat of dried grass. I'm sitting on it. It protects me from the ground, but I can only sit so long. Then it becomes shabby. Then I have to remake it. And then grief. I love the expression of suffering and grief, and the way that it is that you become the mat that is sat upon my children, mother, and wife. Amazing. Just very, very strong images and very powerful. I really, really love this.
Thank you.
Peter Klein.
Hello. Okay.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, everybody. Okay. This is, as occurred to several people, It was immediately evocative, and it was written almost entirely in one move with editing over the time of a week. So here is Psalm 6. Psalm 6, the 80s, Cabrini Terminal. My body, an archipelago of purple lesions, one eye blind to this world, night sweats, a drowning pool on fire. I scream at you, and you listen, too quiet. I scream for you, and angels of mercy, they mean well, but no, they cannot save even a granule of what I've been. Wheel me up to Central Park, one last ramble and dirty water dogs. Already a fugitive, overstaying my welcome in this land. Will you cut me off as well, slam the gates? Can't walk, barely 6 stone. New enemies arrive at daybreak, howling insidious, medicinal war cries. I am deafened to shame. Are my sins so rank? Isn't suffering prayer enough? When I can no longer crawl or breathe to pray, do you not hold me close when I sing? What's left, if not your beloved?
Wow, Peter. Would you talk a little bit about writing this?
I just want to point out that he does have a little subscription here.
Yes.
For
And
Dara.
tell us about that.
Yeah, Dara was my dearest friend, maybe my mentor. At one point we had been lovers, but by the time the mid-80s struck, we were best friends, and whatever romantic chaos we had long passed. And when he was
I
done,
love that phrase, romantic chaos. Yeah.
it was that. But we achieved something that we should have always been, the closest of friends, the funniest of buddies. And this is a biography of his last 2 days, maybe the last 48 hours. Some of it is absolutely literal, like wheel me up to Central Park for one last ramble, etc. I think the trigger for this for many of us was night sweats. So unless you have experienced it yourself or woken up next to someone who has drenched the bed that way, it takes you right back to those horrific days. So, I mean, by the time he passed, he had one of everything. I mean, I just allude to KS and CMV and Cystis and everything else, but he was heroic. And Cabrini Terminal, of course, refers to Cabrini Hospital and Angels of Mercy. They weren't literally Angels of Mercy, but that's a reference to the wonderful nuns and staff. You know, your social life is somewhat askew when you're on first name basis with all the staff on the AIDS floors. But some of this is literal. He was, in fact, an undocumented alien from Colombia, and if it was another era, maybe even another 5 years later that this was taking place, he might have survived and been naturalized and had a terrific career in IT or something like this. But the part that I realized that a poem can be transformed even as you're writing it, or the circumstances of the world change around you. Without planning this. I wrote this on one day, and by the time we get to today, with all of the protests that are swelling around the country, that last word, which is beloved, my favorite word in the English language, it's also the title of possibly the most transformative book I ever read, because it affected me and really drove deeply as to the soul killing nature of slavery and its legacy. And we still live this. And my great hope and my great despair is that that soul transformation that is so necessary for this nation is still too distant, because you can pass as many laws, have as many protests, have as much revision in media and such, but until individually we embrace that truth, then we are still too far away. And so our pleas to God must go in that direction. And it's also that last quartet, What's Left, is sort of what we hope for all of ourselves as we approach our ends. So that's it.
Peter, it's just so beautiful. And it's very moving to see something that you're carrying with you being reflected by a psalm. It's not just the immediate, but what you're carrying. And it's just very, very beautiful to see those images of HIV/AIDS, which was the purple leaf, all of the references without actually saying the source of it is very meaningful. And I want to just point out to everybody how meaningful it is to see people who are staying with the structure of the psalm, and how meaningful it is to see people who see the structure of the psalm as a jumping off point and reject the structure itself as something to stay within. Both expressions are very powerful and both deeply authentic expressions of the Psalms. So thank you, everybody. Is that it for Psalm 6 now, Harold?
That is it. And Rabbi, I moved to ask if we could just take like 30 seconds to take in everything we heard today.
Yeah. In fact, I think maybe I'd love to hear other people's reactions or responses right now. I don't think we'll move on to 7. We don't really have enough time.
All right, so
unless if we have enough, I'm happy to jump into it, but let's let people have some responses.
Anyone wants to share anything, just put up your hand in the chat, in participants. I'm sorry, a little famished here.
Yeah.
Benjamin Shaffrin.
I just loved all of them that we heard today. They were very moving. I'm deeply emotional about them. It was just beautiful.
Kristen.
Well, I mean, everyone's was very moving in different ways. And I'm also, Donna's is still in my head in terms of like the music part. But Peter, as you were reading yours, I was thinking of Larry Kramer and just how, I had read The Normal Heart. And then a couple of weeks ago, I pulled the book off my shelf and I was like, I haven't read the other play. Now I'm forgetting it. But I was like, I need to read this one. And yeah, so very, very present in my mind when you were sharing yours.
Mm.
And Rabbi, I don't think you were here when Kristen's mom introduced herself, Carol Lee, who's visiting us from
Where was
San
I?
Antonio.
Was this before class started?
She's right here. Carol Lee.
Where is she? Let's say hello. I'm sorry.
You can unmute yourself. Wait, hold on. We're going back and forth. Carol Lee's waving. Carol Lee, I think you can unmute yourself.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Carol Lee. So lovely to meet
Hi,
you.
Rabbi.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So
I
happy
love
to
it.
have you with us.
Thank you. I will join as often as I can.
Fantastic. You're so welcome. So happy to have you.
Thank you.
Lori Kropman, you wanted to speak.
I just wanted to say that there's such power in reading these out loud. It's almost like having witnesses to what you're feeling. So there's the process of writing it, all that, but that all of you can hear this. And I've said to a few people after I read my psalm a few days ago, I went catatonic. I didn't even hear what came after. I missed the 2 or 3 versions because I was so taken by reading it out loud and knowing other people were hearing it. And I wasn't expecting that at all. So the power of out loud, I don't know what that is, but it's... Ooh.
I think witnessing is a really powerful word, and people sometimes think, often people say, well, what can I do? Sometimes witnessing is a very powerful thing to do in the face of suffering or pain. So I was I'll speak very briefly. I know we have a lot of people want to speak. Somebody was interviewing me yesterday about this issue, and I was talking about how powerful it was for me as a Jew to go to Mauthausen concentration camp. And some of you were on that trip to Austria and Hungary with a non-Jew Austrian who is dedicating her life to just witnessing the pain of Jews because of what her people had done. She can't undo what had happened. None of us who are witnesses can undo somebody else's pain or suffering. But there is a way when somebody else witnesses your pain deeply and doesn't feel uncomfortable, but is able to be fully present, that it takes a bit of it off you. It is very powerful, and we can't forget that. When we were down at the lynching memorial in the South, that's what I said to folks. You could feel so overwhelmed, you just want to stick your head in the sand. But you have to know when you witness somebody else's pain and don't look away, that is holy. That is really holy. So thank you, Lori, for saying that.
Sarah Siegel?
Just a couple things. A general comment that the draw of this class for me is that it's group therapy, it's literary theory, it's music appreciation, it's archaeology, it's all these things. And what a fantastic opportunity. And about these Psalms, I mean, it's just so very powerful to hear where everybody took it, in the direction they took it. That the AIDS one I just heard from Peter of his beloved friend and lover, and then Donna's missing the music. I'm not even a singer and I'm missing, the whole idea of singing collectively. And I just, a PS also, just from having had the golden opportunity of reading this week myself, I hadn't even cried about the job loss until I was reciting this psalm to you guys. And I'm feeling tearful again, but I want you to know, I actually recited it to my Jewish manager just the day after, and she was wholly respectful, and it was great. And so I feel like that there really is huge power that we don't even know, when we're writing these and when we're reading them. And thank you.
Victor?
Well, I became very emotional. It's very beautiful. It's like I was listening to consciousness with deep humility. It was really absolutely amazing to be in the presence of these words. My heart beating so fast right now. I cannot tell you, it's so beautiful that this energy that I feel and what you said and the way you put this storm from so long ago in the 21st century with these words is absolutely magnificent. Thank you so much. You don't know, it's so beautiful. Thank you.
Sarah, all caps, Sarah, S-A-R-A.
I think that's Sarah Sloan.
Is that Sarah Sloan?
Yes. Okay, I'm unmuted now. I'm very, very struck today by how the theme of music came up. I know that many of the Psalms are musical, but today from Adria's moving playing of We Shall Overcome through all of the other Psalms, it just makes me think very much of the protests outside my window and how they don't have a theme song. But, Rabbi has taught often that in times of distress, you say Psalms. And this is exactly what we're doing. I'm waiting to see, just as the Negro spirituals led the way to the Underground Railroad, I'm waiting to see what song will emerge from today's protests.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and speaking of song, we are at the time for Adria to play us out. I can stay for a little while after class if people want to keep on reacting, and I can keep on moderating, but I know some of you have to go. So we will end the formal session with Adria singing, playing us out.
And let me just let everybody know, so on Monday morning, we will start with Psalm 7. And please, over the weekend, read it if you're open to it. If you have a translation, Harold sent out to everyone the Sepharia translation. Read it through and see if you can understand it, what it means to you. It's a hard psalm, which is why Norman Fisher and Stephen Mitchell do not have versions of it. The Hebrew is hard, so don't be put off. It's a little more oblique than 6 or 8 will be. So hang in there and we'll talk about it on Monday morning.
And Yael just put in the chat that she will add it to her file of the beautiful recordings.
Thank you for that, Yael.
Of all of the Psalms in Hebrew. All right, so Adria, it is all yours.
Okay, so if it's okay with everyone, since this is new to me, I'd like to play out the way we played in.
Spectacular, Adria. Thank you so much. Everybody make sure to register for the concert on Sunday so you get to hear Adria play some pretty fantastic music along with the others. Bye-bye, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Tomorrow is Friday, so no class tomorrow. At 3 o'clock, Deborah will have her group from 3 to 4, and then Shabbat services celebrating trans and non-binary Pride Shabbat with two fantastic guests, a non-binary cantorial student, Zevi Berman. They sang last year. And actually their partner, Ariel Zitney, who is a rabbinical student, he'll give the Devar Torah as a trans rabbinical student. So see everybody tomorrow night for services. Shabbat Shalom.